Hey guys, I'm Mr. Genie here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie, The Equalizer 3. If you're enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. 100 to my petition to help out small YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And fourth to my Discord server, where you can join, collab, and chill and do all that cool stuff. And chilling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let's get into The Equalizer 3. Now, I had a little bit of trouble remembering the first two Equalizer movies, so I went actually back before watching this one, which is not something I typically do, but in this case I decided to try something a little different here, to give the first two a rewatch this time around, only because I didn't remember much of, again, the premise of the original two, and after some familiarity, and not really seeing too many trailers. I mean, initially I did, and then they kind of just dropped off at some point, so I guess I'm a little more late in this regard in terms of reviewing this movie in particular, but I digress. Anyway, the movie starts off in Italy and pretty much takes place primarily in Italy, as we see Robert, as he is known in this movie, and as he's been known to be, has already done a preemptive end of mission. This is typically how his movies begin, at least that's how the second one began as well. And you can already see, I already actually forgot if the first one actually started out that way. But point being is that he's just a CIA or the higher ranked op that's just trying to actually get by in life and casually live by wherever he ends up being. But some high-end force of baddies and get involved in someone he happens to be around, and he inevitably gets involved. Seems to be the premise of the first two movies, the second being closer to the first, and the third being like this entire town. So no really surprise here with us opening having him kill all of these guys, leaving this little kid alive, only to get gunned in the back at least once, causing him to try to get the key to flee the scene and lose quite a bit of repairment, where he needs a little bit of doctor help to get a little restoration in the back region where he was shot. So, he's recuperating for a bit there. We see him fine dining in this restaurant, and an officer is talking to him, introducing his whole ordeal. And we kind of see him recall some of the previous events from the first movie. And we kind of go see him taking on this sort of cycle of wanting to just casually be here. But he, as he's heading elsewhere, he manages to stop by near an assault that is going off. The crew drives off, and we later learn on this is some part of some mafia group. But we do follow them for a little bit here, following their travels to elsewhere in Italy. It seemed like their group was a little bit bigger than I thought it was initially. And once we cut back to Rob, we see him sort of helping out with the doc, and begin to already invest in what's going on, helping the CIA agent lady with this investigation, only to see that these shipments that they have been doing have only gotten more bigger. And Rob sees some of this going down in the distance. So we have people checking around. We have the cop checking around on his own accord. And we have this woman who fine dines, helps with Rob with the fine dining, and wonder why he does that sort of cleanup. I don't know if he officially calls it an OCD, like a thing that you just sort of maintain, though it might not necessarily be, the most necessary thing to do. But it's something akin to that, I think. But we see that the cop has his own issues. When he gets home, he gets assaulted by the same mafia guy. The daughter's held there, and he's sort of overwhelmed by that. So not even the police can really do much in this accord of attacks. So as he gets out, Robert sees this and explains. And this is where Mafia are re-mentioned again. This time, why he asks the agent about why they're able to get in this sort of high-end area where they are. So they probably have some in people somewhere implied, though I don't know if he necessarily deals with the in people. I don't know. But anyway, point is that at some point the Mafia joins in on this table, and you would have seen this in all of the trailers where Robert starts to punish the guy that sat there, using a weak spot in the human body to essentially make him, want to, in severe pain and relieve himself at the same time. And quite frankly, yes, I know a real life similar enough move where I could buy this little sort of, I guess I'll call it a facsimile of that type of move. It's definitely not in this, it's in a similar arm region that I'm aware of anyways, where you could definitely take advantage of somebody like that. But anyway, I digress. So he forces them to leave, and they're still wanting to do business, so Rob makes his way around and kills all of them. And this is where the CIA agent is told to turn on the TV, and more armed forces are making their moves. Meanwhile, the Mafia is trying to regroup at the funeral of one of the dead guys, the one with the red on. And there seems to be a sort of leadership versus father of guy, quote-unquote leader, but not as tough leader kind of thing going on here. But nonetheless, Rob gives something away. And unfortunately, the CIA agent is placed near a location where something blows up, and she was near enough the explosion where it caused her to get knocked back, so not too close to get blown up completely, but she spends the rest of the movie, or close to it if I remember this correctly, in the hospital. Her name was Collins in the movie, just as a reference point. And a man, uh, while they're back, the mafia is back in the square area, I guess I'll call it. They pull a man out and try to make an example out of him, but this is where Rob comes out, making his ultimate massive standoff. And someone else lends a hand, in which, once again, this is the next time where the bad guys are forced to regroup again. And this time Rob goes on the assault on their base, begins his attack, killing the men on the outside and then on the inside, three in quick succession of each other. Kills the monitor guy just as he notices that something's up. And we have the leader eventually come out and see the carnage that has been caused around him. He is then he begins to fire off like a madman, and then he is punished severely, and he kind of just suffers outside as he tries to crawl away, and Rob kind of follows him up until he's like just hit by a car, some random person. And then he checks in with Collins, and after making sure that's all squared away, he goes on to celebrate as just as they had won against this mafia group. I guess their sports team almost simultaneously won. I guess that was just a thing that was happening that they were celebrating, I guess, or coming back from, I guess. Nonetheless, that is essentially the end of the movie. And I remember the first two Equalizer movies having... I liked the more condensed version of this, where it was like the one individual rather than the town. And the killing here, or the action I should rather say, was, it was alright, I guess. It was alright in the first two movies as well. So yeah, I think it's a, serviceable action movie. I would probably lay that out as such. I guess throughout the three movies, the most you learn about the main character would be the second movie, technically speaking. Outside of that, you learn about very basic stuff about the people there, what they're offering, just trying to, go day by day and all their daily activities. So just like the first two movies on a bigger town scale, rather than an independent person who's struggling. Because I do think that the standoff is a little bit wonky in terms of presentation. That's one of the main reasons why I think I would have avoided that type of confrontation. Because it heavily relies on an outsider that's also involved, technically speaking, getting involved. And I don't think that just fits the Equalizer movies as well as the other two, where again it's primarily Robert doing most of the work. Although again, the one I suppose the one outside thing that was more of a group was toward the end of the first movie, where they're like in the store, where he was like essentially working. But the only other person really getting involved was the cop. So there's that. So, I guess that there were pros and cons to each. And I think this one just... the wonkiness is a little bit more noticeable here than the first movie. I probably still give it like a 6 out of 10. Like, it's alright. Has a few more issues that are warranted of pointing out, but overall, still pretty good. And that is my review of The Equalizer. If you ended up in part 3, and if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And fourth to my Discord server you can join, collab, and chill a lot, cool stuff. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.